Tillman, and I'm here at the Spark Elementary School where Megan McCloskey and I have bees. And we're going to do the first inspection of a hive that was installed over the weekend a couple weeks ago. It's about 10 days, been here about 10 days. So this is our first inspection after installing the hive. And Ms. McCloskey is going to help me on this inspection by filming, and then she's going to do the second inspection to show you how to do it for her point of view. So, the first thing we do when we get to a hive to inspect it is to look at the front of the hive. As we look at the front of this hive, there's a bee with pollen on her legs. There are bees flying in with pollen on their legs. We'll see another one in a minute. It's bright yellow, pretty pollen. Don't you love these hives? Ms. McCloskey had there's a bee with pollen on her legs. She had the students make thumbprints and turned them into bees. So the pollen on the legs, here we go, is another one. The pollen on their legs lets us know that the bees are doing okay. They're bringing in pollen, which means that they have a laying queen. And I'm going to take the smoker and go puff puff at the front of the hive, and then set the smoker relatively little smoke when we inspect a beehive up here, because we try to use hive drapes instead. So the first thing you're going to do when you're inspecting your hives is to take off the top, and we notice, what do we see? Well, we only see a couple of bees here, on 3 or 4 or 5 bees on the top of the hive, which means it's still a relatively small hive. Of our 2 nukes that we got, this was the smallest. So we're going to take off the top, and I can see that they're really, in this box, they are not using very much of the space yet. They aren't using any of it. Like this frame here, for example, is empty. It's just got, this was old comb that was on the frame when we put it in. So they haven't come up here yet. Now, it looks like they may have had a little action on this frame. And this is the frame that we put in as a ladder. If you're putting an empty box on a hive, you always want to put a ladder in if you're using foundationless frame, because, oops, I'm pulling off the comb as I do it, because it helps them get started. It gives them a path. See how they're all walking up here to get to the top? It gives them a path to get to the top of the frames to start building wax. We put a box on this hive because it's the nectar flow, not because they needed it. They didn't need it. We were just installing them, and we put it on because we only have access to the school at certain times. So we wanted to be able to make sure they had room during the nectar flow if they needed it. Now this is where our frames are from our nuke, and we're going to see what we can see when we look in the hive. Now I'm going to put a frame rack on the side of the hive. This is the frame rack, and the frame rack gives me a place to hang the frame that I take out. Now I'm not going to take out the first frame. I'm going to take the second frame out, the second frame in, I'm going to take it out. That's a funny sentence to say. I'm going to take out the second frame from the end of the box. I'll pull this up very slowly, and let's see what they've done with this. This is wax that they have drawn. This was an empty frame, and they drew this wax, and they're using it to store honey. And you can see they're making really big cells, big honeycomb cells, because that's the size they use for storing honey. So let's look and see what we see, if there's anything interesting to show you all on this frame. Now you have to be very careful when you're using foundationless frames, because the wax is very tender when it's first drawn, and so you have to keep the frame at a vertical position. So when I turn it, I have to turn it so it stays vertical. So this is a very nice frame that they're doing well making honey on, and we're going to hang it on the outside of the hive to give us some room to move while we're working on this hive. And we'll put a hive drape right there, and by draping the hive drape down on the side, we protect the light and exposure coming to them from being outside of the dark hive that they're used to being in. So now we're going to take out the next frame, and our goal in this inspection is to make sure our queen is doing okay. We kind of know she is because of the pollen coming in, but we'd like to see it. Now this is a frame with lots of brood. Can you see it? You can see it from through the camera.
Yes.
Okay, that white wormy looking brood is what we want to see. It means that the queen has laid eggs, and my goodness, this woman is a prolific queen. There are eggs all down in here and little tiny larvae.
Oh yes.
All right in there. And all that shows us that our queen is working hard. This is a frame where we might see her because she's been laying eggs, but I bet we see her further in. So now we turn it over and look at the brood. They are just doing great. Some of this was a lot of brood that was already here, either eggs or larvae when we installed this, because of the dark color is how we know that. So if it were very light capped brood, we would think that it was new brood, but because it's that old, that's at least 2.5 weeks old. That's older than our putting in the hive, installing the new. So we can see already that our queen is doing great, but because this is a teaching video and because we just installed this hive 10 days ago, we're gonna look at it. I don't know what that is, but I'm gonna get rid of it. Looks like a piece of rubber.
It's rubber mulch, so it's probably.
Well, that's why it was a piece of rubber. And this is a beautiful frame too. It's absolutely full of brood. And in that center area where the dark, empty looking holes are, they're not empty. They have, they all have brood in them.
Yes,
This is a hive doing really, really well. They couldn't, how could they not? Ms. McCloskey keeps the garden full of beautiful flowers for the bees, and they're along Ponce de Leon, where there are lots of beautiful gardens. Do you see something important?
I thought for a second I saw the queen.
All right, this bumpy brood over here is drone brood, this part that looks like gunshot. And then there's a queen cup. I've got the frame upside down. Look at the bee with pollen on her legs. Do you see her up at about 11 o'clock?
Yes.
And she's delivering the pollen to the baby bees. So we'll put that one back in the hive. And we'll look at the next frame. Now this one, I need to get my back to the side. Oh, here we go. There's an egg. Okay, let me see if I can show you where to, just try and see, and then I'll try to enlarge it on the, when I look at it to show them. Okay. Oh, I forgot I have a mask on. I can't blow them
There's
off.
a bee that has pollen
There's
on its
pollen,
legs
but
still.
there's pollen right in here. See all the pollen in the frame? Pollen all in the frame. So there you go. All right, so that is the upshot of that. All right, so we're gonna put this back together and move to the next frame, next hive, which was an even bigger nuke than this one. Oh, maybe before I do that though, let me show you this. This is our very outside frame. And for those of you that haven't seen bees build in wax, this is how they start. They start with one teardrop, and then they expand, and they'll put 3 teardrops in, and then they join them together. But they are happy in this space, which is why they're using it so nicely. And we're going to put this frame back into the hive and say they are doing well and we are pleased. And we're going to move to the other hive. Whatever you do with the beehive, it's very important to move slowly, and it's easy when you have something like that happen where I put the frame in so it was hitting the side and not going down. It means the hive won't sit level when we do that, and we don't want that to happen. So what we know about this hive is that it made a full frame of new wax and honey since we saw them last. And that they are doing well. So now we're going to put this box back on the hive. It's light and easy because there's absolutely nothing happening in it. But eventually the bees will get up there. if we're lucky and the nectar flow doesn't stop
It
before.
doesn't seem to be on.
It's not. It's because that one of the bottle caps came
there.
with it. All right, now is it?
Yep.
Okay.
Around
We
this
put
way.
bottle caps in the corners
A
of
little
our
bit here. Hold on, it's a little bit.
Okay, thanks. Thanks so much. We put bottle caps on the four corners of the inner cover because it is really hot up here. It might not be hot in the rest of Atlanta. It is really hot up on this roof. So we finished the entire inspection of that hive, and the only way we used the smoker was to go pop in the beginning.
Hi, I'm Megan McCloskey. I'm the environmental science teacher at Springdale Park Elementary, also known as Spark. And today I'm going to be inspecting one of our new beehives that we installed about 10 days ago from a nuke. And we're going to see how it is progressing. So I work with Linda Tillman, and she usually does the hive inspections. But today I'm going to be doing this one on my own with her guidance.
And I'm Linda Tillman, and I'm going to be filming her. I'm going to show you all at the teaching class on Wednesday night so that you can see what you would be doing as a new beekeeper. Megan is not a new beekeeper, but she's a relatively new beekeeper. She had a hive in her yard last year, and she's worked with me on the hives up here for several years.
Yes. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is to smoke the entrance. And then I'm going to, oh wow, I'm already seeing a lot of bees up here.
Pollen.
So, in the hive that Linda inspected, there weren't a lot of bees on the top box. This one has a lot up here. So I will pull out one frame.
So Megan is taking out the second frame. Say that, so I don't have
Taking out the second frame. And the bees are just starting to work on the top, so they're probably going to make some wax there. We'll get another drape just to cover them. Okay, and now I have room to kind of move things over a bit, but it really looks like this frame right here.
Ms. McCloskey, could you pull out the one that you just pushed over? I can see from here, you can't see it, but look at that. They're doing what's called festooning, which is how they make wax. They're hanging from the top of the frame and making three little teardrops of wax. And they hang from each other like a bucket brigade and pass the wax up. Okay, that's good, thank you.
Okay,
I know you couldn't see that from where you were standing.
correct. All right. Now this frame already feels a lot heavier than the other frames. Let's see. Wax and bees.
And what are they storing in there?
It looks like a little bit of honey.
Yes.
You tell me. It looks like at the top there that we can see.
That is honey. Now, I see a problem with that frame. Do you see a problem?
The wax coming off here.
Yes, and on the other side, both on that same side, they're building out too far
Okay.
from the frame. So we need to put a rubber band. The good news is there are two of us, so we can do it together.
Oh
Bad
yes, out
news-
here it's also expanding.
Right,
Okay.
The bad news is that it's new wax, and as a result of it being new wax, it's going to be soft and not respond as well as we would like to put a rubber band in it. You will hold it at the top. I'll put the rubber band on the bottom, and then what I want to do, that'll hold it inside the frame. Then I want to break this part off because we don't want that piece, and we'll put a rubber band that way. So let me get another one.
Okay.
So we're doing frame repair.
So even when I do a hive inspection, Linda needs to step in, but this is why she's so awesome.
Oh, you're so sweet. But really, I'm stepping in because it helps to have two hands for this, and I'm always doing it by myself. If you could take this hand and hold here. I don't even know if we can see this on the tape, but I think we can. Come down here. This is when I get stung, probably, because they aren't going to like this. Okay, that says to them, keep that one in line. Let me see if they can see what we did. Yes. Okay, let me get one more rubber band, and then you're free to go back to your hive inspection that I've interfered with. Okay. So it always helps though. I'm often alone when inspecting a beehive, and it really helps to have a partner. I just love having Miss McCloskey. Okay, there you go. Okay. Now, when we come back next time we look at these bees, very likely they will have chewed off those rubber bands. They absolutely hate rubber bands in their beehive, but it helps them learn to color inside the lines.
I'm going to look at this next one just before we take off the box. I just see
wow.
And I definitely see some honey going in. Yeah. On the other side, I see more honey, and they're just building more wax.
And Miss McCloskey is turning the frame that way because she has to keep it pretty much vertical because that's new wax, and it'll break off.
Okay, now I'm going to put these back in the same order they were in.
Now, Ms. McCloskey, do you have a comment on why this hive would be up in this top box and the other hive wasn't?
It's bigger, so there's more bees, and they are starting to ladder.
It's bigger, there are more bees, and they are also taking advantage of the nectar flow because there are more bees, which is why they're building the frames with the honey cells. The other hive was much, much smaller nuke, and so it didn't have as big a need to hurry and get in the top box.
Okay.
Or even the ability to hurry and get in the top box.
Take this off. And now I'm going to remove this box, and I'll put it here. And Linda was just explaining to me about how you should always rest the box on top of the inverted lid, and that way it catches any bees, most specifically the queen, in case something happens and she happens to be in here. We're going to put this here.
Great.
Leave that, and we're going to get another drape over here. And then we will start with the second frame. I see lots of new honeycomb being made in this frame.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and on this side, so you can definitely see they have been busy. It looks like there's larvae right here at the top. Do you see right in there?
There's honey right in here, and then there's fat larvae right there, right in there, and there should be eggs down here at the bottom if you'll carefully look. They've stored honey down in here, like often on a brood frame they'll do is put honey in the corners. But with that much larva, I thought we'd see eggs, but I don't. From this side.
On this side, I just see more larvae in there.
And this very, very light covering tells you what?
That they are newer larvae.
Yes, like they just, this frame was a completely empty frame 10
Yes.
days ago. They've built the wax and put the larvae in and covered some of it since we put it in.
And I can see some of the cells are a little more flat, and then some a little bit more rounded, the bullet shaped. So
these are all worker brood. None of these are built
none of they
bullet
are.
shaped.
Okay.
No.
Oh, now I see it. You're right. They are. Okay, and that, okay, we'll get another drape. Protected, especially if the queen.
It'd be unlikely we'd see her that far to the edge of the hive, but we might because of, or that she'd be on that frame because of the new, I expect she's laid eggs all through this hive.
Right. Oh wow, this one's heavy. This one is very different from the other frame that I picked up.
And do you know why?
More brood.
And this is one that came.
Oh wow!
This came with the new.
Oh, I mean this one is like super heavy compared to the other one. I do see on this side a queen cell and also some capped honey.
All right, let's see.
Here, let me
Yeah,
flip like that.
Right now, I don't see the queen cell.
Right there at the bottom.
Oh, it's
Or
a
no,
queen cup. This is a queen
cup,
cup
okay.
right here. That's not a queen cell, but it's a way of their being ready if they felt like they needed to make a queen.
Okay.
They have a queen cup. It's like an
Lots of
insurance
brood
policy.
and a little bit of capped honey over here.
They have honey in the corners like you would expect them to. And it's a good brood pattern, really solid.
Now there you can see up there at the top, there you can see the bullet shaped.
Yes, these are drone cells right
Yes.
here and right over
There,
here.
yeah.
Those are drone cells. I
Okay.
probably just bopped one drone on the head by touching that drone cell. It
All
smushed it a
right.
little.
And I don't know if, I don't think I see the queen, but I have to admit I am terrible at spotting a queen. That
But
is one thing that Linda has said I need to really work on.
But do you know what we have seen that lets us know it doesn't matter whether we see the
If
queen or
you
not?
see the presence of new brood, eggs, if you see the presence of eggs, then you know that the queen is laying. Okay, do you want me to look at one
Keep
more?
looking, yes. We want to look at all four of the frames that came with the hive.
Okay, because this is,
But it's a very vigorous hive. And your smoker isn't in front of your hive. If you want me to
oh yes.
move it in front of your hive, I will, because that sort of keeps them reminded that you're there. If you put it aside, it's not of much use to you.
All right. That one looks like it was looking maybe making. Okay. There a lot more brood, and I'm gonna see on that side.
So this side is a very fully capped, about 2-week-old brood cells. If you'll let me see the other side, Ms. McCloskey, again.
And there you see the opened.
Now the reason this has so much open in it, partly they're storing pollen right here. That's all pollen. But partly this open area is where eggs have hatched. And so it would be a good idea, Ms. McCloskey, if you'd look at this side again and see if there are any eggs or larvae in those open cells, because that would let you know that the queen is doing what she's supposed to, which is coming behind the brood that's hatched out and putting in new resources.
See any? Yes.
All right, no, wait a minute. All right, I've got it. You know, there's larvae in a lot of these cells. All down in here, there's larvae. There's also larvae on the opposite side, on the side where my thumb is. So that lets you know that the queen is doing what she's supposed to. Here you go.
Okay, we're gonna put that one back in and the way that it came out. We'll scoot it over a bit so we can get to our next one.
Now at this point, I'd look at one more frame, but at this point we know that everything is doing what it's supposed to in this hive. That the queen is laying, that the brood is being filled in the...
Once again, a really, really heavy frame. Lots of brood on this side and lots of larvae. So I will flip it over so you can see.
See, there's almost wall-to-wall larvae on this frame. And Ms. McCloskey, if you flip it back so I can see the other side again, I want
Yes,
to show
because
them
right at the
something
bottom you see some of the drone cells at the bottom
And
there.
that's exactly, so good of you. That's exactly what I wanted to talk about. Is you'll see they've built a lot of big wax right in here, and they're putting drone cells at the bottom. This is a frame that's all foundation, and a frame that's on
I
foundation.
think that's the queen.
Oh, well, let me
Right
see.
there, and she's marked, the yellow dot.
I can't
See the
see
yellow
through your
dot
arm.
right there? Right there, she's moving. Right there.
There's the queen. Okay.
Ah!
Good job. So now we really want to stop, and it's a white dot, I think. I think white is for this year. Yeah, it's white.
Can I take a picture?
Yeah, take a picture right now.
Okay, so sorry for the little bit of drama, but we spotted the queen.
Well, we got her on the film.
Yeah,
too,
so
I
we
think.
got her on the, and we, so that was very exciting because we did not see the queens when we installed the nukes on either of the nukes. And so we're very excited to see those queens.
And you spotted her, Ms. McCloskey.
I know!
Yay!
Okay, so I'm moving these back in the same order that they were in. And,
You might
Now we
want to
can-
take your hive tool and push this particular frame as far close to the, and then move all of them over. That way it gives you plenty of room not to have a problem when you're,
especially now that we know that the queen is there, we want to be as gentle as
we
possible.
don't want to create any problems in
We
our
don't
hive.
want to smush her at all.
Sorry guys, with me filming, I trip and all kinds of other things, so I just bumped the camera.
Okay.
I didn't know we had a marked queen. How exciting.
Okay, so now I'm going to take off that, and I'm going to, okay. All right. Now put this back on, and put it on at a little bit of an angle, and then slowly turn it. So that way I don't drop it on any bees. I can kind of push them out of the way. That is one of the things that Linda taught me, was that putting it on to minimize.
Bee death.
Yes, okay. Now I'm gonna put this on with the entrance in the back for their back door. And like we did with our other one, we put some bottle caps on here, and that will help keep it a little bit more ventilated. Up here, it gets so hot up here. You would not think that being up 3 stories makes a big difference, but it does. It's also full sun. But we do have plenty of food up here for them because we have lots of flowers. We also just installed a little bee bath, so they have a watering spot. So they...
Ms. McCloskey and Spark are very invested in our beehives.
Okay, put this back on, and we just completed a very successful hive inspection.
Thank you all for watching.